We can chat to Danny Bowman now. I've chatted to Danny before, actually, on Mid-Mornings. An amazing young lad. He's from Alnwick, and social media did pretty bad things to him. He was addicted of posting pictures of himself online. He does a huge amount of work. He's on mental health. He's a spokesman on mental health for Parliament Street, a political think tank, and he joins us now. Morning, Danny.
Morning. How are you?
Grand, Danny. I'm not bad at all. More importantly, how are you?
I'm brilliant.
So, Danny, can you explain to us what your issues with social media were in the past for people that don't know your story? Just explain what life was like.
Well, it all started with posting selfies online and not getting the sort of approval I wanted from individuals. And that led to me taking 200 selfies a day, becoming 6 months housebound, and becoming pretty much addicted to what people thought about me on social media, and that led me to try and take my own life eventually, which is obviously not a positive thing.
So, Danny, what is approval? Well, what was approval then? So you'd post the selfie up, say you do on 10 o'clock in the morning. What would you wait for to happen? What would need to happen for you to be feeling that approval?
Well, I think one of the things that was really strong with me is I wanted people to come back and say, you look great, you look fine, sort of take away my worries about my body image and my appearance. Mm-hmm. So once people sort of came back and didn't give me that sort of level of approval, that sort of led to me feeling, worthless and not feeling very good about myself, which inevitably led to my downfall.
Danny, can I ask you, with social media, with young people and social media, I don't want to sound patronising like this, but there are loads of people that post pictures of themselves in their gym gear, looking amazing. And for young men and young women, but I think for young men at the minute, there's this real pressure to be buff, to have the six-pack, in a way that I'm sure there wasn't in the 80s when I was growing up. I don't think it was quite the same amount of pressure to be perfect. Do you think social media has sort of perpetuated that myth that young men have to have a perfect body and the abs and the shoulders and everything?
Definitely. I mean, I think social media has a lot to answer for. I mean, social media can be a fantastic thing if it's used correctly. But I think, sort of the rise of sites such as Instagram, you go on there as a man and you see men constantly picture after picture with a six-pack, and that's sort of deemed as what is the norm or
the
what
benchmark
of how you should look. So that's very difficult.
And so how did you turn things around? I mean, you've told us that at your lowest ebb you wanted to end it all. I mean, how do you come back from that?
Well, I mean, my big opinion is that sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you start moving up again. Mm-hmm. And I got fantastic help. I was lucky enough to get some help from the Maudsley Hospital in London.
It's a very famous clinic, that, isn't it?
It is. It's fantastic, and it's really, really good. And they were fantastic and helped me through it.
And do they recommend you stay off this sort of stuff for good? Is it total abstention, or is there a way of using it now that you can work with?
I mean, I think for me it was coming straight off it for a period of time. But then, as with anything, you bring it back in slowly.
But not say if it was a drink problem. It wouldn't be, Danny, would it? If it was drink, you think, no, most people would recommend you stop drinking altogether and stay off it, and then you won't be tempted at all.
Yeah, exactly. But this is obviously a very, very different thing.
Okay.
So I think social media, for me, if I could bring it back in and it was a positive thing, then, it's a positive thing. I mean, someone with, for example, an alcohol problem, you would tend to stay completely off it. But if someone can bring it back in to a level that's, normal or positive, then that's okay.
So, sorry, I was just going to say off, because actually, if you're suffering from something like body dysmorphic disorder or OCD or those things, you have to have your triggers pulled, because if you avoid them your whole life, you'll inevitably just be running the whole time. So in a sense, that was your trigger. So you have to be a little bit, you have to be brave and have a little bit of in your life. I just wonder very quickly, Danny, just tell me about the work that you do with mental health charities and things. Social media has been a very positive force in that sense.
I mean, yes, it has been a very positive force. I mean, a couple of months ago, you've seen Instagram or sort of trigger words that come up that sort of linking you to mental health support networks, which is really good. And social media can be really, fantastic in that way. But also social media can be very detrimental to people's mental health, especially around Christmas.
Very quickly, Danny, have you been on Facebook this morning? Any selfies lately?
No selfies. I've got to admit, I've been on Facebook once, but no selfies. Definitely no selfies.
Thank you very much. Have a happy Christmas. Thanks for coming on BBC Newcastle. Danny Bowman there, spokesman on mental health for Parliament Street, a political think tank.